All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this Athenian Stranger tutorial video where today we're going to do an algebra skills builder for geometry students. The intention here is that we rekindle your memory of algebra so that you're prepared for what's coming up in geometry, but also so you're prepared for what's coming up later in your mathematics career here in high school and beyond. For number one, we're asked to graph a linear equation given in slope-intercept form, y equals 2/3 x minus 2. It is important to remember the form y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So we know the y-intercept is at -2, so we plot that. And we know the slope is 2/3, which we can interpret as rise over run. So we can find another point on the line by going up 2 and over 3 to the right. Okay, so we found our 2 points, and now we found 2 points we can plot in a line. So there is your line. Number 2, if f of x equals 3/4 x minus 7, what is f of 4/3? Okay, this is called evaluating a function. So we're going to evaluate f of x at 4/3. F of 4/3 equals 3/4, and here I'm just going to replace x with 4/3 in parentheses to indicate multiplication, minus 7. This one works out quite nicely because we can cancel the 3's and the 4's, and so we left with f of 4/3 equals -7. And that's number 2. Number 3, we're asked to simplify, and here we have to apply the product rule of exponents and distributive property. What I'll be doing is distributing 5p through each term in this parenthetical expression. So 5p times 2p cubed is 10p to the 4th, because remember, p has an exponent of 1, and when I multiply those p's together, I add their exponents. So this would be 10p to the 4th. Now 5p times -7p squared is going to be -35, and I'll add the p's, p to the 3rd. Now 5p times 6 is just plus 30p. Number 4, factor x squared plus 9x plus 8. What we're looking for are two numbers that add together to give me the middle term, 9, and we need those same two numbers to multiply together to give me the last term, 8. And so those numbers are 1 and 8. 1 plus 8 is 9, and 1 times 8 is 8. So they're both positive. When I write my factor pairs here, I'll have x plus 1 and x times x plus 8. Remember, I could use FOIL to recombine these together. So I could use FOIL, first, outer, inner, last, to recombine these together. And I'll just show that here because it's something we need to remember. How does this work, right? First, outer, inner, last. And these lines are just indicating that I'm going to multiply these things together. Okay, so the first term is x times x, well, that's x squared. Outer, x times 8, well, that's plus 8x. Inner, 1 times x, well, that's plus 1x. Last, 1 times 8, well, that's plus 8. So combine the middle terms and I get my original expression. Okay, so that's the ins and outs of factoring quadratics. Number 5, solve -4x plus 4 equals -2, open parentheses, 1 plus x. Okay, this is a multi-step solution. First, we'll distribute the -2 through the parentheses to get rid of the parentheses. I'll have to rewrite the left side. -4x plus 4 equals -2 minus 2x. Solving for x, let me add 2x to both sides. And on the left side, negative 4x plus 2x is negative 2x plus 4 equals negative 2. Okay, and so now what I need to do is subtract 4 from both sides. Okay, so negative 2x equals negative 6. And to get x by itself, I just divide both sides by negative 2. The negative 2's cancel on the left, so I get x by itself equals to negative 6 over negative 2 is positive 3. So x equals 3. Okay, simplify. We're given radicals here. So we've got the prime factor square root of 18. So we're going to say square root of 18. We need to simplify this, so that's going to equal something. What we do is we prime factor 18. So 18 is 2 times 9, and 9 is 3 times 3. We can rewrite these factors as 2 times 3 squared. So the square root of 18 is equal to 2 times 3 squared. And there's a rule or a property of these radical signs that says I can break them up when they're being multiplied. So I could say square root of 2 times 3 squared is equal to the square root of 2 times the square root of 3 squared. Okay, one more simplification. I've got to rewrite square root of 2, but then I can take the square root of 3 squared and actually simplify that out to just 3. So the final simplification of square root of 18 is just 3 square root 2. Okay? So when I go back to my problem, I'll just rewrite square root of 18 as 3 square root 2 all over square root 2, and all of that we'll subtract 3 from. Here I can cancel out the square root 2's, and as you see, I'm left with 3 minus 3, and that's just 0. So this 0 is a simplified form of that expression. It's kind of neat. Here, and by the way, I should say we're ignoring the negative roots. Okay, number 7. We're asked to solve this, and we see that we've got a scary looking set of denominators here, but all we really have to do is multiply these denominators by something that would make them equal to 6x squared, which would be the lowest common denominator. So for 6x, I just need to multiply it by x. Remember, whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top in a fraction. For 2x squared, I just have to multiply top and bottom by 3. And for 6x squared, I don't have to do anything. So we'll just rewrite this as x over 6x squared minus 3 over 6x squared equals 1 over 6x squared. Whenever I have a situation like this where I've got all the denominators the same, I can put the entire thing in parentheses and multiply through by 6x squared over 1. The benefit of doing that is I'm going to distribute multiply 6x squared through the entire equation. But I see when I do that, I'll be able to cancel all the denominators out. Okay, that's a real cool trick. And now I've just got x minus 3 equals 1. You can do that every time you've got common denominators like that. It's really neat. So now I'll add 3 to both sides, and I see that x equals 4. Okay, number 8, simplify. What I'm going to do here is remember the power rule, which says when I take an exponent to the power of another exponent, I'm going to multiply those exponents. So essentially, I'm going to distribute multiply this 4 to every exponent that I see. And remember, there's an exponent of 1 down here. So we'll just say this equals n to the 8th times n to the 8th over n to the 4th. Well, n to the 8th times n to the 8th, we apply the product rule of exponents and add those exponents, and that would be n to the 16th over n to the 4th. And now I use the quotient rule, which says when I divide bases that are the same, I subtract the exponents. So I have n to the 16 minus 4, which is n to the 12th. Number 9. Graph 2x minus 3y equals negative 9. Remember, this is standard form, ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are whole numbers and a is positive. So that's standard form equation of a line. But we don't really care about that. We care about getting y by itself. So I just need to solve for y. 2x minus 3y equals negative 9. Well, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And now I've got negative 3y equals negative 2x minus 9. And I'll divide through each term by negative 3 to get y by itself. So now I have y by itself, and we're looking for the slope-intercept form equation of the line. Well, negative 2x over negative 3 is just 2/3 x. And then negative 9 over negative 3, that's plus 3. So now I've found the slope-intercept equation of the line. I can plot it now. So I've got the y-intercept at positive 3. And rather than plot in rise over run this way, I'll just go backwards. I'll go down and to the left. So I'll go down 2 over 3. I mean, it works the same way as up and to the right, down and to the left. It's just the opposite. It's the same thing. Get those 2 points plotted in and draw in a line. Okay, done. Number 10. Find and graph the inverse of f of x equals negative 3x minus 12. Then graph the original function and identify the coordinates of their intersection. Okay, here's the big key with this. When you're doing inverse, when you see inverse, you have to remember this rule. Okay, let's write it out. Swap x and y and solve for y. Swap x and y and solve for y. Okay, that's the rule. So that's what we're going to do. Remember, y is f of x, so we'll just write y equals negative 3x minus 12. And now I'm just going to swap x and y, and I'll solve for y. So y becomes x, and x becomes y. See what I'm doing here? I'm just swapping their locations and changing nothing else about the problem. And now I'm going to solve for y. So I'll just add 12 to both sides. And now on the left, I have x plus 12 equals negative 3y. Divide through each term by negative 3 to get y by itself. And I have negative 1/3 x minus 4 equals y. Okay, so this is the graph of the inverse function. Okay, or this is the equation of the inverse function. This is the equation of the original function. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll plot the original function in blue, and I'll plot the inverse function in red. And we'll see where they cross. So plotting the original function, I've got a y-intercept at negative 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'll bubble this in down here. Okay, and then my slope is -3. So I'll go down 3 over 1. Or since I don't have that on the graph, I'll go up 3 and to the left 1. So up 1, 2, 3, and to the left 1. Be super precise about this. About right there. Okay, and that will allow me to graph in my points. About like that. Okay, so now I've got the line drawn for the original, and I'll use red to draw in the line for the inverse. So I have a y-intercept at -4. And then my slope is -1/3, so down 1 over 3, or we could say up 1 and to the left 3. Okay, oops. Up 1 and to the left 3. I didn't go up 1. Up 1 and to the left 3, right here. That's why the protractor is so helpful. Right there. Okay, so now I'll plot in this line. And we can already see where they intersect. The intersection point right here is -3, -3. And that would be the solution to the system of linear equations given these two linear equations. Okay, those were the 10 problems. We did it in 17 minutes. So not quite 2 minutes per problem, minute and a half per problem. I hope you found this helpful. Please like this video if you did find it helpful, and check the link in the description and the link in the pinned comment for full solutions. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you're always alerted to new videos. Thanks.